Hi guys, Simon Hill here. Today I want to talk to you about the mysterious Rubik's Cube. Rubik's Cubes are something that I've been interested in for probably just over a year now, so it's not been a long-standing love affair. But since I picked up my first Rubik's Cube, in fact, this was my first Rubik's Cube, I've become a little bit obsessed, and I've used it in my teaching. But also I use it as a reflection tool, thinking about my own personal life, what I do, how I act, and how I work with other people, how I communicate with other people, etc. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was just thinking about how I think about that, and how solving a Rubik's Cube can really impact your life and impact your future goals as well. So, firstly, let's think about how would you go about solving a Rubik's Cube? How did I go about trying to solve a Rubik's Cube initially? Well, if you're anything like me, you pick up a cheap Rubik's Cube like this one, and admittedly this one was pretty cheap as well, but you pick it up and all you start doing is, I'll try and get a side done, and okay, you do a side. But then as soon as you do a side and you then try and do another side, it all starts falling apart, because you've got to go back on yourself to try and keep your first side in place. And then you move on to the next side, and then you're trying to move different things around, and that starts messing up the other bits that you've done. And then what tends to happen is you give up. And that is absolutely what I did time and time again. And again, if you've ever tried to do a Rubik's Cube, I would hasten to guess that that is exactly what you've done as well. You've tried it once, you've maybe got a little way, and you've given up. And again, this is a really good metaphor for life. The stuff that you do, the stuff that I do, the number of times I've tried things and given up because it's too hard, because I just can't figure it out. And I think one of the key things here is that just lack of information, lack of knowledge. We're trying things without really trying them, or we're trying them without the relevant knowledge that we need. So rather than just trying to do it randomly, why don't we, what some people might call, cheat, and let's watch a YouTube video on how to do it. Or let's read a book, or let's ask ChatGPT. We can do all of those things, and actually, there are lots of ways. In fact, I did this in a class recently, and one of the students downloaded an app, inputted what was on each side, and had solved it within the space of about 5 minutes. Now, he may well have been bluffing, he may have been able to do it already, but that was a great solution. Now, of course, that doesn't mean he can solve it every time consistently. But it's a starting point. It's solving it, and it's building some momentum. Because of course, again, if you've ever tried to do it and then failed miserably, you've chucked it back down and you've not picked it up for another 12 months. So you obviously need that consistency, but you need that persistence and perseverance to get it done the first time. Because what happens when you get it done the first time? You get that little hit of dopamine and you move forward. You try something else. So we've got a 3x3 Rubik's Cube here, but actually let's make it a bit easier. Let's just do a 2x2. Well, this has got to be really easy, right? Yes and no. Again, with plenty of practice, yeah, of course, it becomes really easy, but actually it's still not super easy. Now, I'm not going to try and solve this right here, right now. I will do at the end, just because I don't want to stop talking, because I can't talk and do the Rubik's Cube at the same time. I'm not that good at multitasking. But again, a 2x2 is certainly simpler. So if you want to, challenge yourself, give yourself a little challenge, get yourself a 2x2 Rubik's Cube. Or, if you want to go big, get the 3x3. This one was from AliExpress. This one was from AliExpress. You can get them in the works. They're about, I think this was £3. But you can get what's called a speed cube for about the same kind of price from AliExpress. You just have to wait for it to be delivered from China. Anyway, so how do you solve a Rubik's Cube? Now, there are multiple different ways of solving it. But I like to utilise, I believe it's called the Yi method. I may well be wrong there, but essentially what it is you build a white cross to begin with. So you can see we've already got that bit there, which is already starting us off. But the important thing to remember, and this is what most people tend not to focus on, is they go from, right, I want to do one side and then I'll try and do another side. Actually, you've got to work on two sides at the same time. So what I mean by that is, remember I said we need a white cross. We've got the center there, but we've got that white piece there, so that's okay. And we've got that red piece. So we need that red piece to be in line with that center. Now, one of the other key things that most people kind of tend not to really realize with Rubik's Cubes is the orientation of all of the center pieces always remains the same. So even though you might twist it like that, they're still in the same order. So white is always opposite yellow, blue is always opposite green, and red is always opposite orange. Once you kind of know that, it starts making a little bit more sense. So we've got white, white, red, red. So now we need to find, we've got an orange over here. So let's put that there, put that there. So now we've got, actually, in a happy coincidence, we've got two blues there with the white there. We've got two orange, two red, and then we need the other green. So let's just put that over there, and then we just spin it around. Now, I'm not expecting you to use this as a how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Again, I'm not going to do it in enough detail for you to do, although I may well make a video about that. If you're interested in that, feel free to put a comment in the comments below. But you've now got the white cross, and even better, you've got the reds, you've got the greens, you've got the oranges, and they're the right pieces, because that's the thing. That piece has to be there. That piece can't be over here. It has to be there because it has to match the blue. And the white piece again has to match the red. Anyway, so again, how does this connect with a metaphor for life? It's all about steps and phases and growing step by step by step. Don't try and solve this thing straight away in one go. Yes, there are people that can do it in a crazy speed, which seems unfathomable, but guess what? That comes with a ridiculous amount of practice. But good for them. Yeah, good for doing that. But you've got to think about it. You've got to break it down into its smaller individual steps. So again, that white cross. If you can do that white cross, that's the first step. You get that nailed, pat yourself on the back. You've done really well, and you are moving forward. And in the same way with anything else that you want to achieve in your life, if you want to become a property investor, well, what's the first kind of thing you need to do to become a property investor? Well, you don't just go out and buy a house. You know, I've got 4 houses. Well, I've got 5 houses technically. And it doesn't just happen like that. You don't solve that problem straight away. You've got to break it down into its smaller parts. Firstly, you've got to start learning about, well, how does property investment work? How do you make money from it? What are the key benefits? You know, check out podcasts. Just small things. You don't have to dive straight in and do it straight away. Start learning, start educating yourself. And at the same time, whilst you're educating yourself, we'll start putting a little bit of money aside. Think about what you're spending in your day-to-day life. How much are you spending on that coffee every day? If it's £2-3, okay, £2-3 a day doesn't sound like a lot, but over time it accumulates. And guess what? If you're spending £2-3 a day on a coffee, then there's a very good chance you're probably spending money elsewhere, Netflix, for example, any other subscription service you might think of. And guess what? You probably don't use it to the best of your ability. You know, I like Netflix, don't get me wrong, but I will only sign up for it in a month at a time. I will sign up for it, and then straight away I will cancel my subscription so it runs out after the 30 days or 31 days. Because I don't want it to just keep going and going and just draining money out of my bank account, when actually I can be utilising that money to invest in more properties. So think about that. Think about the step-by-step nature of solving that Rubik's Cube. Once you've got that white cross, there we go, find it again, you need to then just follow up by getting the corners in place. Now those corner pieces, they're either here, 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 or here, they're in the bottom, or they're here, here, here. There are only 8 corner pieces, for you to use. So you've just got to figure out, how do I get one of these corner pieces into the place where it belongs and in the right orientation, because that's another thing you need to consider. But again, that's okay. Just do it step by step. Figure out how to get something in the right place, learn the moves. Again, lots of great YouTube videos on how to do that, and then figure out how do you twist the piece around. And again, it's just very basic algorithm. I'll show you very quick. Basically, that's the move you need to be mastering. And it might seem really easy, but I'll just go nice and slow. Da, 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 da. And it's just a process. Like anything in life. Look at Subway. Subway has a great process. What sandwich do you want? What bread? 6-inch, 12-inch. Meatballs, cheese and toasted, salad, sauce, crisps, cookie, drink. Every Subway you go in around the world will almost certainly use that process. Life is about process. I know it's very easy to think, well, that's really boring, but trust me, it can make you do amazing things. Now, I know this because, as I said, I'm a property investor. Great. That side of my life is going pretty well. I'm married, I've got kids, and my kids are doing really well in school. Does that happen by accident? Okay, might be really lucky, they might have really good teachers, but it's also that me and my wife put a lot of effort into making sure that we go through the right process that gives them A, happiness, but B, the ability and the focus on doing work, because they don't want to do work all the time. Homework, I never used to want to do homework, but actually when you get yourself in the right frame of mind, you move forward again, step by step by step. Doing homework every week, it feels really painful, but it's about just getting that enthusiasm and that focus on what it is that you want to do. So once you've figured out one step and you've mastered that step, move on to the next thing. If I think about, again, something else I've done in my life, an ultra marathon. So I've run 100 kilometers, 62 miles in 24 hours. Now that, again, to most people sounds absolutely crazy. And personally, I agree with you. It is pretty crazy. And my legs right now feel like kind of asking me how on earth I ever did that, because I've got a bit of an injury. But it's about doing one step after the other, and literally one step after the other. Go and do that for a mile and then pat your back. If you can do it more than a mile, great, keep going. But it's just about building up incrementally, doing some stretches, doing a little run, a faster run, a slower run, but a longer distance, doing some strength and conditioning exercises. But again, it's just building it up step by step by step. So I will kind of stop there and leave you to kind of just think about that. Please, please, please go and buy yourself a Rubik's Cube. Show yourself you are capable of doing something that you previously thought was impossible. I originally, when I first solved this, probably took me about 9 minutes after watching YouTube videos on 0.25 speed, just so I could focus on working out what the moves were. Sometimes writing little notes to myself on, okay, you need to move it this way and move it that way. Took me, again, 7-8 minutes. And then now I can solve this in about 90 seconds. If I'm in a really good position, I could probably do it in just over a minute. I know that's still not particularly fast in terms of the world record, but for most people, doing that in 90 seconds looks like witchcraft. And to be fair, whenever I do it, I sometimes think that to myself, how on earth did I do it? But again, it's just process. White cross, corners, center pieces, then what's next? The top pieces, so you have to get a cross on the top, and then it just flows from there. It is complicated. You have to learn those moves and those positions and those algorithms, but it's about focusing one step after the other. So what are you going to take up? What's the thing that you're desperate to get to? Is it running a marathon? Is it starting a property investment business? Is it developing your career? Whatever it is, start small. Master those small steps. If you don't know how to do it, get yourself onto ChatGPT or any other AI tool and ask it, what are the small incremental steps that I need to take in order to be able to run an Ironman, do an Ironman triathlon? What are the steps I need to take to solve a Rubik's Cube? Whatever it is, use the tools that are available to you. Obviously, in school and university, we're not supposed to be using certain tools to write your assignments because we need to see independent thinking, and you've got some brain cells up there that can do stuff. But in the world, the big wide world, you can stretch yourself. You can do the research utilizing, again, AI tools, the internet, Google. There is so much. There is more information on the internet right now than there has ever been in history. Take advantage of that. If you've got any thoughts, ideas, questions, please add them to the comments below. I really appreciate your thoughts, and also I appreciate your feedback on this video. I know this is the first one I've made, and I want to certainly develop this into more of a series of different things and different thought processes. So share your feedback with me as well. Please keep the swearing to a minimum. But if it's good, great. Tell me it's great, please. But if there's areas that you think I should improve on, better camera, better microphone, better background, whatever it is, please do so as well. Thanks again for listening, and please do dream big, live wise.